I make a lot of mighty bold claims on this channel, mostly for the sake of clickbait, but I always pack them up. There's facts and truth to them, relatively, but am I really gonna stand here in front of you and claim that Mightyena and Poochyena are not dogs? Yes, because they are primarily hyenas, which are not dogs. I surprise people with this factoid all the time from time to time, occasionally when it happens to be brought up, which is rarely. Hyenas are not in any way closely related to canines. In fact, there is more justification for saying that they are cats than there is to saying that they are dogs, as they are significantly more closely related to our feline friends than to our canine cahooters. They also happen to be more closely related to wolverines than to dogs. All hyena species belong to the Hyenae family, which belongs to the suborder Feliforma. Felines. Canines, or Canidae, are a whole other branch on the tree of life, but at least both hyenas and dogs belong to Carnivora mammalia. Just about as generic as you can get. Oh, they're meat-eating mammals. That's how close they actually are. When you look at the most well-known species of hyena, Crocuta crocuta, aka the spotted hyena, their felineness isn't that apparent. Like, that has got to be at least canine adjacent, right? But nope, it's a creepy cousin to kitties. But then, take a quick look at some of the less iconic hyena species, of which there are only 4 living in total today. One quick gander, and you do start to notice more feline traits than dog ones. The pointy ears, the spots and stripes, the fluffy necks. But apparently, what makes them most known to be cat-like isn't appearance-based at all, but rather it's that they have the same immunoglobulins and placental features as cats. So, their insides. They have the same guts and gut layout as cats. So I can definitely see why the layman has confusion. But now, how are Poochyena and Mightyena as Pokemon? Why do they look and act this way? What other features were added onto them, and why are they dark type? Let's tackle that last question first. Simply, look at how hyenas are depicted in pop media. The first ones that come to mind for me are the 3 talkative hyenas from The Lion King. Yeah, not exactly the nicest not dogs ever, hey? They and the rest of their hyena clan hunt the other animals of the Pride Lands, scavenge, cause terror, and wreak havoc throughout the land, have a mean-spirited and cruel sense of humor, and when they learn of Scar's betrayal, Shenzi and the other 2 lead the hyenas into killing and eating Scar. Brutal, right? And then during Scar's song, they're literally goose-stepping Nazis. Subtle much? This kind of portrayal of hyenas is pretty stereotypical, honestly. Hence, also gnolls in Dungeons & Dragons. Essentially a chaotic, evil, demonic race of hyena people. It's part of what Obstagoon is, and like, just look at it. It's literally a gnoll dressed up to go to a Kiss concert. Also, hyenas are more closely related to badgers than dogs too, so yeah. And if you've watched as many nature documentaries as my wife and I have, you'll probably know why hyenas are portrayed this way. Though we cannot and should not attribute human morals or ethics onto animals, especially wild ones that have evolved to be carnivorous, hyenas are especially violent and scheming and creepy. Even lions will hear the cackling laughter of hyenas approaching in the distance and be like, oh crap, we gotta get out of here.
Hey, you let get in! I can't believe they left this lion around. Quite the main event.
I'd call this heist a roaring success. Oh, wait. We can't eat this. This is one of Helix's premium mattresses.
Well, I suppose it's perfect for helping us sleep with our aching arched backs.
Yeah, I'll be conked out sleeping my best. What's Robert gonna even do to wake me up?
Well, Helix you.
This video is sponsored by Helix Sleep. Helix wants you to have a good sleep, but everybody sleeps different, so how are they gonna help with that? Easy, a quick online sleep quiz which matches you and a partner to the perfect mattress recommendations. After my wife and I took it 7 years ago, we got the Helix Midnight Luxe, which has a cooling cover, and I love the cooling cover. It's so cool. It does the opposite of trap body heat under you, so you don't wake up in a puddle of sweat unless there's something significantly worse happening.
Ah, great. But like, seriously, we just went on a cross-country road trip, so I slept in like 20 plus different mattresses, tripling my previous mattress experience.
And none of them are even close to as nice as my Helix. And plus, even though Labor Day was weeks ago, Helix wants to make sure you save. So their ongoing Labor Day sale is still on. 25% off site-wide. So you can visit helixsleep.com/Lockstin and save a quarter for every dollar spent. That's what the math means. I just did it. And I love how my mattress is still under warranty because, yep, 10-year warranty. They believe in their products, and seriously, a good mattress is always a worthy investment. Better sleep means a better quality of life because you spend a third of it sleeping, after all, and hopefully also hanging out with cats. Meow. helixsleep.com/Lockstin, 25% off.
Hyenas have a rigid and violent hierarchy too, which is matriarchal. That's right, Shenzi being the most talkative, smart, and capable of the three in The Lion King, and being the closest thing to a leader of the hyena clan outside of Scar's machinations, is, in fact, the most accurate part of the hyena's portrayal in Lion King. Though realistically, Shenji's two friends should have been two other females, because even the highest ranking males in a hyena clan are still lower on the hierarchy than even the lowest female pup. And the matriarch rules with an iron paw. Speaking of Dungeons and Dragons again, think of the Drow. They're also super evil, and also super matriarchal, and also sometimes get involved with gnolls. But literally think Drow hierarchy if you're a nerd that knows all about that. It's the same as hyenas. Hyenas are so matriarchal that the more and more submissive and meek a male is, the more likely he is to get to mate, which is the opposite of how it is for basically every other mammalian species the world over. This intense loyalty to the female leader of the pack and other high-ranking females is definitely part of why Mightyena's dex mentions that it will never disobey the commands of a skilled trainer. So basically, if you prove to your Mightyena that you are also mighty and worthy of listening to, then yeah, you've got a very loyal, dog-like, cat-cousined Mon as a companion until you lose that status in their eyes. To a hyena, the hierarchy is all. Spotted hyenas also steal others' kills by chasing off the other predators, and sometimes even maiming or killing them to just add to the stockpile, and they do so by descending upon them in a big group, teeth flashing and claws slashing, really cackling maniacally the whole time, ganging up on them so they don't have a chance. There's no honor in that kind of killing. Spotted hyenas will also slowly chase down their prey until they're worn down and collapse, which these Pokemon also do according to the Pokedex entries. And they also gang up on both their target prey and predators alike that they have to chase off, which isn't very fair and also so fitting of the dark type. And there's also that laugh I keep mentioning. It sounds very spooky. It's very sinister, trickstery, borderline evil. They're really enjoying being mean. But again, of course, that's sort of anthropomorphizing them. They don't actually feel that way, probably. They just happen to sound like that. So it's no wonder that plenty of human cultures from their territories in Africa, Asia, and the Middle East have beliefs of them that states that they are evil, or at least not at all safe to meddle with. In some cultures, hyenas are thought to negatively influence people's spirits, rob graves, and steal livestock and children from right under your noses. Other cultures associate them with witchcraft, using their body parts in traditional medicine. Witches in some cultures would ride them, or be able to transform into them, as they are the only animal seen as wicked enough to sustain a transformed witch. But they aren't all tough, mean, and strong. Like I said, the males are weak, and it led to the idea that hyenas, when not ganging up on something, are cowardly. This is reflected in the constant reiteration of Poochyena's dex that it turns tail and runs if the foe strikes back, and that it bares its large fangs and barks vigorously to try and intimidate opponents, but this is actually a manifestation of its cowardly nature. Though it is true that almost all species of hyenas do tend to play dead if they're outmatched by a predator, the spotted hyena is an exception to that. They will fiercely defend themselves, but it's also the biggest hyena species by far, so can you blame the other ones for not being as fierce? Especially the poor little aardwolf, which is very small and evolved to be exclusively an insectivore, and thus doesn't have nearly as many natural weapons for self-defense at its disposal as the other three. But like, look at his poor little kitty meow meow face. meowing. They're so cute. So which of the 4 hyena species do Poochyena and Mightyena resemble the most? Well, given how fluffy-necked and not particularly spotted both mon are, I'm gonna go ahead and say that they are mostly the brown hyena. The spotted hyena does have some fluff on its neck, but it's nowhere near as fluffy as the brown hyena or the striped hyena, and Mightyena is especially brown hyena-like when you look at it shiny. And the stripe. Same goes for Poochyena too, though Poochyena seems more pooch-y than Mightyena. While I reiterate this again for the 6th time, I have not counted, that they are not dogs, they do have dog traits. And that seems to come across more so on Poochyena than Mightyena. Perhaps it's why it's the one with pooch in the name then. Poochyena kinda reminds me of some subspecies of African wild dogs, especially its shiny. I think it's the relatively short muzzle, combined with the extra prominent teeths of Poochyena that are really sharp on this plush. That makes them quite a bit like African wild dogs, which have short muzzles for canines, and their premolars are the largest in relation to their bodies of any carnivore outside of hyenas. I mean, Poochyena's sharp teeth are apparently noteworthy enough among Pokemon too, because according to its dex, its distinguishing feature is how large its fangs are compared to its body. Not to mention that African wild dog's territory often heavily overlaps with spotted hyenas. And Mightyena also closely resembles an actual canine too, the maned wolf. It looks like a fox on stilts and has wolf in its name, but despite that, it is neither a fox or a wolf. It's actually the only species in its genus, Chrysocheon, which means golden dog. She sure looks stylish though, don't she? Very reminiscent of Mightyena's long black legs, and both Mightyena and Mane Wolf's boots are longer on the front legs than on their back legs. Man, thigh highs and knee socks. You could also say that the lion gets their black and gray color from the gray wolf, which also hunts in packs and could be seen as quite dark due to its associations in fairy tales like the big bad wolf and all. But ultimately, it's a mighty brown hyena, but gray, with a sprinkling of extra canine flavor in there. Smells like wet dog. Now do yourself a favor and do not, I repeat, do not look up how spotted hyenas deal with their mating rituals. It is just a hardcore, submissive furry's wet dream. Instead, learn the medical science about how and why Primeape freaking dies and becomes annihilate. And never stop using your noggin.